Welcome to Game Set Matchup, the podcast where we talk everything partnerships, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hello everyone. So I'm Carl Busby, your host of Game Set Matchup, the #1 partnerships podcast, and we are back with another episode. So today I caught up with Matt Ball, who is head of partnerships at a company called Aazzur. So Aazzur is helping to build better and smarter banking with a one-stop shop for embedded finance. Their data-driven embedded finance experience platforms enables businesses and banks to better understand and support their customers by offering them tailored financial services as and when they actually want and need them. This is all handled seamlessly via the Aazzur Smart integration. So Matt has a wealth of experience, having been in the partnerships world for over 20 years. With his role at Aazzur being head of partnerships in UK, it means he is responsible for managing the strategic partnerships with BAS, fintech, and implementation partners for go-to-market strategy and for direction of the UK business overall. We talk about how Matt is helping to maximize the partnerships he works with and also how to manage them all. We discuss what makes a gold star partnership for them, as well as some top tips if you're new to starting out in the partnerships game. We then wrap up by talking a bit about the future partnerships and how he sees that all playing out. As always, remember, you can find out more about Finder and how we are helping businesses secure discovery calls with vetted decision makers by hitting the links in the description. Enjoy this week's episode. Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Game Set Matchup. This is a podcast where we discuss all things partnerships. Maybe you're new to the partnerships world, looking a bit of advice on how to get started, or could be an experienced pro and just looking for a bit of inspirational direction. Whichever one it is, we thank you for tuning in. As always, I'm your host, Carl Busby. Please welcome our guest today. We have Matt Ball, who is head of partnerships from Aazzur. Hello, welcome, Matt.
Hi, Carl. Thanks for having me.
Very good. Yeah, thank you for coming on. If you wouldn't mind, just letting our listeners know, just going to give them a little bit of a introduction, about yourself. You can say a bit about your background, what you're doing in your current role, with Aazzur, and then maybe just a little bit about what Aazzur actually it does. What is it all about?
Sure thing. So I've been doing partnerships since about 2001, all in the software space, software as a service, starting out in e-commerce and then later moving into fintech and other things. And I've also done a load of advisory work in building channel programs and channel partnerships and ecosystem and all that kind of stuff. Wow. Started working with Aazzur about 3 years ago. So met Philip and Martin through an accelerator program with PwC Scale, which was a great way to get to know them. And they are great guys to work with and a lot of fun. Really like the business. And then started working with them, initially just kind of helping to structure partnerships, how they were going to be put together, why the business wanted to kind of incubate them and grow them. And then later on, I took them over kind of operationally to try and grow at least the larger ones, the sort of the top 5 or more. And now I work on something like 20 or 30 of their partnership relationships. And I also work very closely with the head of product, Laura, at the business, who always needs to know exactly what all the partners do and how they do it so we can integrate in and what have you. And I guess that, so I head up partnerships across Europe with Aazzur, and I also sit on the board of the UK business and keep an eye on the UK market and what's kicking off over here, while much of the team is over in mainland Europe. And I guess in terms of what Aazzur does, Aazzur is an orchestration platform for embedded finance. So basically for corporates, for brands, and for scale-ups that want to embed financial experiences into their proposition, whatever that might be. It might be a niche neo-banking proposition, they want to add wealth to it, or it might be a corporate that wants to have corporate expense cards and payment controls and things like that. We provide the middleware to plumb all of those fintech services into one kind of unified layer. Gotcha. And then a set of finance blocks that sit on the front that allow you to then make that into a really compelling experience, brand it up as the company that's going to market to consumers or to small businesses, and to knit it all together into something that looks cool and makes it a lot easier for the users to get their stuff done as quickly as possible in this age of very, very short attention spans. So that's the general principle of it.
Yeah, well, I can definitely attest to that. Like I said, it comes to short attention spans. That's amazing. I was going to ask a quick question. Obviously, you've been doing partnerships for obviously quite a long time now, and like you said, you're managing quite it's quite a few. You said there maybe like 20 or 30. How do you keep track of it? Because obviously, you it's like, it sounds like you've got multiple things kind of going on at the same time. Obviously, you have teams and stuff that obviously help you, but how do you sort of make sure that those relationships are, you keep on talking with all these, the different partners?
This is going to be the most boring answer I give, hopefully, for the whole session. I think there are two answers, but the main answer is governance. And so, depending on the type of partner, if you have a larger, more strategic partner that you really need to work closely with, we try and meet up with them every 2 to 4 weeks. And that means that you're meeting with multiple stakeholders from across the business, multiple stakeholders from our business, and you're making sure you're kind of meshing together all the actions and deliverables and what have you. So that's one way that we keep track. Another way that we keep track is that we make convenient buckets to put them in. So that would mean that, we've got 3 partner types that we kicked off with: infrastructure partners, value-added tech partners, and referrers in the first instance. And we just built those so it was very, very clear what the kind of the MO is for that type of partnership. So it's like, if you're a referrer, it works like this. If you're a tech partner, it works like that. So we made that very clear, and that means that there's a little bit of a kind of roadmap that the partner's expecting to go down. So you're leading them down a kind of like well-established path of signing up, co-promoting, all that kind of thing. The final thing is just putting together a plan with the bigger ones, like really documenting, we're going to do this, this, and this. And so whenever you turn up on a call, you just look at the plan. It's like, right, what did we say we're going to do? All right, we've done that. Here's the next thing. So, but again, it's basically showing up, isn't it? Turning up 9:30 in the morning after dropping my son at school, and then cracking on.
That's what I say. I think that was boring at all, to be honest. Like I said, I think it is just an interesting one in terms of more about keeping those relationships warm. People that you're working with, like you said, when you're turning up to a meeting, they probably want to know that you're vested, and that you're trying to look out for what they want, sort of thing. That's just a thought of why I'd just ask that. Just building the question. What we like to obviously ask guests is that obviously talked a bit about obviously what Aazzur obviously does and what is involved. But what in terms of the partnerships obviously you've currently got, or any future ones, what would you say in your experience is would look like a gold star partnership for a business or someone that working with Aazzur? I think it's like we like to sort of ask this question so listeners can get an understanding of what it is exactly that you're sort of looking for, and what is it that both businesses are getting out of it, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I've tried to sort of boil this down in my mind as to what a really good partner looks like, kind of ideal partner profile. And the number one thing is they have to be already in business with our ideal customer. So we have ideal customers that have, existing consumer bases of maybe 200,000, 100,000, 200,000 consumers, or 10, 20,000 small businesses. And we really need our partners to be already working with companies that are a good fit for us. Yeah. And if they're not, then it doesn't make sense, right? It's not the right time to engage. It might be in the future. So a really good partnership for us looks like that. There has to be that kind of alignment around types of customers and the sorts of use cases and verticals we're going after. And then I guess, what is the second thing we look for? It's probably 2 things that we look for. One is a pain that their customers are not onboarding quickly enough, they're not buying quickly enough. So there's some sort of slowdown, and usually that this is kind of all 2 things merged into one, which is it's often the fact that there is management attention on the fact there's a problem. So in the management of that partner that we're going to speak to, the CEO, the COO, etc., know that the problem is that customers are not buying quickly enough, onboarding quickly enough, monetizing quickly enough, because then that means we can come in and help. We always say we're going to help to speed up the time to, kind of speed up the the level at which they get to market, so what might be a year, 2 years becomes 3 months, 6 months, and that we make that a lot less painful for the client and for the partner. So that's generally speaking what we're looking for.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think you just touched on a point there, which does come up with quite a bit in terms of, when you're obviously looking to partner with someone, you going to them and saying, you can fix a problem that they've actually, that they've got, or that, like you said, you're in this case, you're speeding something up and obviously being able to monetize a lot quicker. That tends to help conversations move rather than just, coming up with, we want to say this, do you want to buy? That doesn't usually go down too well. So
the nice to have is I think we look for the kind of the harder requirement of there, and often the problem is that partners are doing deals and they're doing good deals and quite a lot of them, and then a lot of those customers are just not making money for them. It's a year, 2 years, 3 years, they're still not making money with those companies. So we can come and help to shorten that time frame and get them to revenue quicker. The customers make money quicker, the partners make money quicker, we make money quicker. That's a good partnership.
That's a good part. Like I said, one of those ones where generally everybody's happy. So it's working. That's great. And then just the sort of leads to the next question. I mean, obviously you touched on it a little bit. It's just, I think, like you said, you may have, had a conversation with a company. Things look like they may be worthwhile moving forward. Then is there anything, once you're obviously at that point, you're particularly sort of looking, within that company, particular traits and stuff that you feel are going to help to make that partnership, be strong and long last? Obviously, in an ideal world, we'd love every partnership to once that you've signed and it's all going to be perfect and never have a problem. That's not the reality of the world. So, like I said, but yeah, a lot of people learn in hindsight is like when they do go to potentially partner with someone, there are particular things that they look for in that business that they know, it could be, things like just the culture or certain values, the way that they work, it's going to help longer term keep that, partnership in the right place. So yeah, any kind of little things that you sort of look for?
You basically, I think you put you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said that culture and relationships, and that's the style of working. I think the thing that works really well with the partnerships that really last in the longer term is that same mindset. It's kind of everyone's going in the same direction and they have that can-do attitude. People are willing to kind of stick with it because partnerships can take a long time.
Yep, absolutely.
So, you don't want people who are expecting just immediate results. You want people who've got that mindset of, right, we're going to do this and we're going to do this for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. So I think that's something that that if it isn't there, it won't work.
Yeah.
The other thing is that we're really interested in when we try and sign a partner, we want it to be a bi-directional. It needs to just be a mutual thing, right? Everyone's going to get value out of it, and there's a clear back and forth of what people are going to get, and that starts with leads. So we want leads to flow in both directions. We want revenue share so that if the leads are a bit one-sided, then the other partner gets rewarded. So we ideally like to have that kind of bi-directional revenue share arrangement. We want competitive differentiation so that we differentiate for them and they differentiate for us, so that we're making ourselves more attractive than competitors in the market. And then the other thing we look for is market intelligence. Have they got some insights that we can get that are going to be valuable to us? It's like, do go here, don't go there, stop with chasing that thing because the ship has sailed. You can save so much time by getting those tip-offs from partners. So I think those are the things we really get the most value out of.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, well, you've touched on quite a few things. I think obviously anyone listening will probably share in that sort of advice as well. But yeah, it's a really good sort of some tips there. So just moving to our next question. Obviously at Finder, we're all about trying to help businesses get that first discovery call with a new business, which can be quite notoriously difficult, especially trying to just to get a meeting, but also to actually speak to the right person within a business who can actually help to push like I said, a conversation sort of forward. So always intrigued to just find out from sort of companies, what type of things are you doing to create new partnerships, look for new business, because I think it's probably one of the hardest things is going out there, and when your contact list and everything that's gone, just going out and getting actual real new partners is a tough thing. As we said, we touched on, can take a while. Starting to talk to somebody, it's not something that just happens sort of overnight. So yeah, just interested to understand, like, what kind of things are you doing to sort of try and get new business essentially?
So I think with our partnerships, there are lots of companies in the market that are highly regulated, and some of them will be open for business and others won't. So I think what we are trying to do, and when we're a middleware provider, which means we're sort of in the middle of the web, orchestrating lots of different things. So you have to be fairly agnostic. Like, we can't just say we're only going to work over here and then we're never going to speak to these. You have to have that sort of openness to those different companies. And I think where we see our leads coming from is really from the banking as a service providers. And some of those other players, like maybe wealth as a service, that customers go to them and then they say, right, I need this stuff, but how am I going to deliver that? What's it going to look like? And that's where we can deliver that. It's going to look like this, that user experience, that the kind of user interfaces that are going to actually bring it to life. So we say that we're kind of bringing APIs to life. Yeah. So the way that we're recruiting partners is that we're going to all of those players that are already, they have deal flow, but what they might lack is that ability to speed up the sales process, things I mentioned earlier on. So that's quite easy to do because the biggest BaaS providers in Europe are the biggest BaaS providers in Europe. So they're very well known, and we've been in this industry for a number of years, especially Philip and Martin, kind of multiple serial entrepreneurs in this space. So that's one thing is you've got those companies which are quite easy to access, and then I think I say easy to access, they're easy to identify, not necessarily easy to get into conversation with. Exactly. And then we've got a lot of the value-added technology partners. We meet them because our customers ask them to talk to them. So actually, by doing customer projects and really focusing on that onboarding, you meet, each one has 1, 2, 3, 5 incumbent partners who are worth integrating and who might be a good fit because you're meeting them in your ideal customer. So that's another way that we meet them. And then, I mean, probably not particularly inspirational, but going to Money 2020. Networking events, useful because it just saved us enormous amounts of time. Like, we got really, really organized. I think I say we, Martin just kept on pushing spreadsheets in our direction and saying, what do you want to achieve with all your partners? Like, why are we going to see this person? And what's the next step? And what's the step after that? So kind of I think it's very easy to just go, I'm going to go to an event and I'm just going to see what happens. And actually, if you just get really focused on, here are the people I want to meet, here's why I want to meet them, who I want to meet in those partners, and here's where I'd like to get to with them. And you just push it that extra 10, 15, 20%. And we got a huge amount of value out of that event, which has saved us, I would estimate, tens of thousands of euros worth of travel time and additional meetings and what have you. So those are some of the things that we're the ways that we're recruiting partners. I'm sure there are 10 things I missed, but that. No, that's a good thing. Good things. Obviously, I mean, we were. My director was at Money 2020 as well. We've been there, so they're really good events. I think what you touched on there for me, I suppose, because I obviously attend quite a lot of network events as well, is really trying to, before you go, identify the people that you need to speak to, so that you don't sort of end up going there and just wandering around, just trying to stumble into someone that. So they are getting quite a few events a lot better now. They have apps and you can go through and identify and say, I want to talk to X, Y, Z. So I do a lot more of that. So yeah, I think that's a really good tip. So yeah, just a couple more questions. So just again, I mean, you said you've obviously been in the kind of partnerships world game, whatever you want to sort of call it, for good few years. So I think this would be a great question. So for yourself, again, we all know that obviously hindsight's an amazing thing, but if you could go back and give your younger self maybe 1 or 2 little tips of advice in terms of how to to sort of work and deal in the sort of partnerships game, anything that you would anything that sort of springs to mind as sort of little tips or nuggets of advice? So yeah, good question. I think reiterating something that we mentioned before, partnerships take a long time. And I think especially when I was young, I was very impatient. I wanted to get things up and running and going. To get into a partnership, you kind of need to cover a lot of different angles and meet a lot of different people and get into that partnership over time. And I think some of the most successful partnerships I've run have taken a year to sign and another 2 years to like properly enable. You're in it for the long haul. And I think maybe I was pretty impatient about trying to get results with partners. And sometimes partners are just not ready to move. And that doesn't mean you should give up on the partnership. It just means that it's almost like you step back. I think what I probably had a tendency to do in my younger years, more than now, is over servicing and doing too much stuff. It's almost like, you can keep the ball in motion by just kind of tapping it every 5 minutes, or you can take an action every little while and keep things moving, rather than being right on top of it and really over servicing that one partner, because that means you can't play as many angles. I think now what I see is that we might work with 10, 20, 30 partners. Some of them are high intensity and others are just either trickling along, or we're just doing nothing because we've agreed to do nothing and we know that we're going to meet in another 3-6 months when it makes sense. So I think, I was probably focused on too few partners, too heavily, trying to make them do stuff they didn't want to do. And now I'm much more able to sort of sit back and just, you watch the bit, the plate's spinning, and you can work out which one you need to go to next. So that's definitely work. Do nothing is my kind of joke strategy, right? Which is sit back and look and only attend to those things that really needs to be attended to, and it means that the partners get a better experience and you retain your sanity and don't try and push something that isn't going to happen right now.
No, I like that. I think, again, it's just good advice. I mean, I think we're all like that. Was a bit younger, we eager to impress, and we think that, like I said, if we keep push, but as I said, this is why we asked the question, because again, it's hindsight. At that time you're just not in that sort of mindset, whereas like now you can just really see, like, you putting all that time in, but if the partners, if they're not ready, it's just it's going to be a lot of wasted energy you could have been using somewhere else. As you said, do nothing, sit back and just keep an eye on what's going on. So good. Look, we're moving on to just our final question, really. So we like to just ask our guests and get sort of their insights and what they think the sort of future holds for sort of partnerships. Again, this can be obviously within the business, or just something in general that you sort of feel is going to make changes to the ways that we kind of do sort of partnerships, do business. Obviously, we're way past obviously COVID now, but I mean, I think you can see there was a massive transformation there in terms of how businesses had to work with each other. And obviously, we have the big AI conversation, which is constantly ongoing. No one really knows 100% where that's kind of going to go, but we all know it's going to impact our lives in some way at some point. So yeah, like I said, do you just any sort of insights you think how things could be new tools that are coming on coming into the market in terms of, like I said, how like I said, just the way we sort of work within partnerships might be a little bit different in the future.
Yeah, good question. I guess the first thing I think is in relation to AI and new technology. I think Philip quotes a lot of sources around that topic, where businesses that use AI are just using new tools. It's like there's a new machine for making fabrics. If you use it, you'll make more fabric, and the fabrics will be more intricate, and you can sell them for more money, or you can produce them for less. I think the profusion of AI stuff has been a long time coming, and they're just tools to speed stuff up. I see, if I look at what do I see partnerships actually being, or what do I see the role of creating partnerships being, it's about diplomacy. So effectively, you're a diplomat and a relationship manager working on behalf of your business to create all of these channels to customers in the end, to get that intelligence, to find out where the customer's making decisions, to get to those opportunities, which otherwise you're never going to hear about. So that role of being a diplomat and working across lots and lots of different companies and understanding how they work and the culture and all that, understanding that culture, understanding the people, understanding how those businesses tick is an innately human thing. And so I think from that point of view, there's always that need to have, a human at the center of it. If they're in a cockpit surrounded by really clever tech, then obviously that's as it should be. And I think people using kind of proper partnership relationship management tools and CRMs and tracking everything properly and the automation of, it's like my sales admin for partnerships now is so much, there's so much less that I have to do now than I had to do 10 years ago. It's ridiculous. And then that is just going to get better. Like, I think the real area now is around content creation and the fact that you want to create some sort of permanence around the partnership that you're building. And all the tools that are coming out now really help to create that, almost that sort of roadmap of things that you do at the beginning of a partnership, the announcement, creating content around your specialisms and your joint areas of focus. You can create that faster, better, it's going to look more professional, and you can use tools to do that really quickly. And then you can use tools to sort of disseminate that stuff on social and similar. You can use things like kind of Riverside FM or whatever to chop bits up, seed them onto the internet. So I think that's where tech is really going to help partnerships, but it's always going to be that kind of human at in the cockpit, controlling how those relationships go and understanding the what fits where and why. So obviously now that I've said that, in 3 years' time, it's going to be fully robotic and there'll be no humans in it whatsoever. But that's always been my philosophy, and one of the reasons I wanted to be in partnerships is because I see it as being that really long-term, high-value thing that will be there in another 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And there's always a new industry and a new, that needs to have that kind of partnerships approach applied to it. So no, I love that.
I mean, I'm sort of the same opinion myself, but it's always interesting to obviously hear what the guests have to say. But I agree. I love that analogy of the cockpit thing. Like I said, you can have all this great tech and stuff, but you're always going to need somebody, a human being, obviously controlling all that. And like partnerships, at the end of the day, they're about relationships, right? So you can have AI, but it's not going to be. It's never going to be the same as, like I said, having being at an event, having a conversation with someone, striking up that rapport. It's all on a human level. So, but like I said that as well. Hopefully, we won't all be replaced in a few years' time. So on that note, I guess I will just come to the end. So I just want to say, thank you very much for coming. Spending some time coming and speaking with us. Like I said, it's been great to talk, and get some of your experience and insights. I've said obviously your sort of long, partnerships career. So like I said, just really appreciate you coming on. And good luck with everything at Aazzur.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me, Carl.
Thanks for joining this week's Game Set Matchup. Tune in to hear more about the need to knows and the do's and don'ts when it comes to creating successful business partnerships.